life. It's this complex web of signals that has a direct line to our mood, our desire, and even how close we feel to someone. So that brings up the big question, right? Can what you put on your plate actually have an impact on your libido? And the answer isn't a simple yes or no. The real story is found in the intricate conversation that's always happening between our digestive system and our brain. And that's exactly where we're going to start. To kick things off, just let this number sink in for a second. Over 90% of your body's serotonin, the famous feel-good molecule, it's not even made in your brain. It's produced in your gut. This one fact, right here, is the key to unlocking this entire connection. So let's really put the star of our show, serotonin, in the spotlight, because it does way more than just make you feel good. It's a critical player in your sleep, your general sense of well-being, and yep, your capacity for emotional intimacy. But, and this is a big but, here's the twist. Even though your gut is basically a serotonin factory, that serotonin can't just hop on a bus and travel directly up to your brain. It's physically blocked by this protective shield called the blood-brain barrier. So that creates a bit of a puzzle, doesn't it? If the main supply of this crucial mood molecule is cut off from the brain, how in the world does it manage to have such a huge effect on our emotions, our motivation, and our desire? Well, the answer lies in some pretty clever communication channels. The best way to think about it is like a super highway of information. Your gut and your brain are in constant contact through this incredible network we call the gut-brain axis. And it's not just one single road, it's a whole system of pathways all working together. Now, the most direct route, the express lane, if you will, is the vagus nerve. Just imagine a dedicated fiber optic cable running straight from your gut to your brain. When those gut cells release serotonin, the molecule itself doesn't have to travel. Nope, it just pings this nerve, which then sends a super fast signal straight to the emotion and reward centers in the brain. But that's not the only way they talk. The gut also uses some, let's say, slower methods. It can trigger the release of hormones that can cross into the brain. And our gut microbes can actually create beneficial compounds, called metabolites, from the food we eat, and these metabolites indirectly support our brain health and mood. It's all connected. Okay, so if we want to support this amazing system, it makes sense that we need to give it the right fuel. And that brings us to the heroes of our story, certain probiotics and some key nutrients. And listen, this isn't just some abstract theory. As you can see from this quote from a recent scientific paper, researchers are confirming that the gut-brain axis is a central pathway for influencing sexual function. The connection is becoming clearer and clearer. And this stuff has a real-world impact. Just take a look at the second row of this table. One study found that a blend of lactobacillus and bifidobacterium helped women who are on SSRIs, a common type of antidepressant, see improvements across all areas of sexual function. Other studies here show specific strains improving satisfaction scores in healthy adults and even sperm quality in men. It's pretty compelling. So, how do we support this system with nutrition? Well, you have to start with the foundation, the actual raw material, and that is tryptophan. This amino acid is the one thing your body absolutely has to have to make serotonin. You can find it in foods like poultry, eggs, and chickpeas. But tryptophan can't do the job alone. It needs a support team. Think of nutrients like omega-3s, vitamin B6, and magnesium as the essential crew that helps your body take that raw tryptophan and actually convert it into serotonin while also making sure the brain's signaling is running smoothly. And finally, you need the gardeners. Things like prebiotic fibers from foods like onions and garlic, and those colorful polyphenols you find in berries and green tea. They don't really feed you directly, they feed your friendly gut bacteria. They create the healthy, thriving environment that this entire system needs to work properly. Of course, just as we can support this system, we can also, well, sabotage it. There are a few very common culprits that can completely derail this whole gut-brain-libido axis. It really all comes down to balance. Think of your brain as having a natural brake pedal, that's GABA, which helps you feel calm. And it has an accelerator, glutamate, for stimulation. Well, chronic stress essentially wears down your brake pedal and just slams on the accelerator, leaving you in this wired, anxious state that is just not a great place for intimacy. And that imbalance creates this sort of domino effect. As you can see, the chronic stress and its high cortisol levels blunts your sex hormones, Systemic inflammation actually hijacks your tryptophan, diverting it away from making serotonin. And then there's poor sleep, which stops the brain from doing its essential nightly cleanup. This nightly maintenance is handled by something called the glymphatic system. Think of it as your brain's dedicated cleaning crew. During deep sleep, it literally flushes out all the metabolic junk. If that process gets messed up, neurotoxic byproducts can build up, which can blunt the effectiveness of both serotonin and dopamine. And the impact here is absolutely measurable. One study found that people who slept less than 6 hours a night saw their serotonin levels drop by a staggering 22%. And not surprisingly, they also reported having lower libido scores. So, knowing all of this, how do we actually put it into practice? Let's lay out a clear 6-step blueprint to support this entire amazing system. Okay, the plan is pretty straightforward. First, make sure you're getting those tryptophan-rich foods daily. Second, think about a targeted probiotic. Third, feed your gut microbes with plenty of prebiotic fiber from plants. Fourth, make sure you have those key supporting nutrients like magnesium and B6. Fifth, actively manage your stress every day. And finally, number 6, fiercely, and I mean fiercely, protect that 7 to 9 hour window of sleep. But, and this is really important, we have to set realistic expectations. This is not an overnight fix. Those clinical trials that saw all these positive changes, they typically ran for 4 to 8 weeks. Consistency is absolutely everything to allow these biological shifts to actually happen. Ultimately, it all comes down to this idea. As the quote says, nutrition, stress management, and restorative sleep, they are the 3 fundamental pillars. If you can get those right, you create the foundation for this entire network to fire on all cylinders. So this all brings us to our final thought. This gut-brain-libido axis is a constant stream of communication. Your body is always sending you signals about what it needs and its state of balance. The only real question left is, are you ready to listen?